Welcome back, I'm Multeyemeteor, and we're looking at the new decks for Magic 2013 in the Deck Pack 3. Actually, we're just taking a look at the Rogues Gallery in this video. It deals with the Dimir Guild, or the what? I never heard of those, or the yeah, I heard of those, but it's just a myth guild. The Dimir is the unspoken or the untold secret guild, which is supposed to be secret because they're delvers of information, spies, and deal with espionage and assassinations and stuff like that, hackers and so on. It's a really interesting guild. It's comprised of the blue and black spells and creatures, and this deck, while it's not, it doesn't live entirely up to my expectations of what it could be. Much like the other decks as well. For example, it doesn't have a lot of the blue-black instant spells or the blue-black sorcery spells, which I like. Especially the counter spells are some of the things that I think is missing from the deck. It does have one counter spell, but it only counters a creature. It could use some undermine. Anyways, it does have a lot of interesting things. This guy, Mind Leech Mass, is not an exception. He's very interesting, just a little expensive. But let's take a look at it right away. I've unlocked... Wait. Oh, alright. I thought I had only unlocked 29 cards, but actually it's because I couldn't figure out what to take out. I might be able to figure out in a couple of days after having play tested it, but so far it's just too good. Or there are too many good cards, and there are too many good cards that you think, even though they might be a little bit situational, they could be a difference maker. Because the thing that you'll see about this deck is that it requires all fucking efforts, like all cards to put in an effort in actually fighting and struggling against your opponent. There are going to be so many decks that this deck will that Rogues Gallery is going to struggle with. So it's very important that you put that you have a variety of options to deal with different kinds of decks, especially when you play online and you don't know what your opponent is playing. You'll also see that I run 2 Terramorphic Expanses. Those days where I didn't include them in the deck, those are over. I need my lands. I don't want all 4, but I need at least 2 because I need my fucking lands. Seriously. Good thing is that just like in the other deck packs, Stainless have chosen to include 21 lands when you are down to 60 or 61, 21 basic lands. So 2 Terramorphic Expanses will get me to 23 lands. So far I haven't had trouble, as long as I have a good starting hand, I haven't had trouble making it to land drop 7, 8, 9, unless of course I'm getting completely flash fucked by goblins or something like that. But yeah. Let's take a look at it. As you'll see, the mana curve is a little bit wonky, and that's because the 2 drops and the 4 drops are prominent, very prominent. Lots of 5 drops in there as well. And if you want this this deck to be powerful and very controlly, you're going to have to run a lot of 5 drops and a lot of 4 drops as well. Alright, so let's take a look at the cards that I'm not running. The 2 Terramorphic Expanses, no need to talk about them. 1 Infiltrate is yeah, I've taken it out. I'm running 1 of them. I was considering either keeping both in or taking both out, because you'll have a chance to run a lot of unblockables, and that's just very strong, very good. And it's very easy to get your creatures to get in there, but sometimes you'll end up with a combination where the creature that you want to get in for damage, or to get in for damage and trigger some special ability, is not an unblockable creature or doesn't have fear or something. So one infiltrate is it's a situation thing, and even one thing I've done early game is also if for example if I drop a creature like the Dimir Guild Mage, swing in and my opponent is playing Midnight Haunting. Do I want to make to make that, or do I want to make that trade? I don't think so. If I have the infiltrate in hand, it's instant speed. You just target your Demir Guild Mage or whatever creature you don't want to lose, and before block step, of course, and he gets in there, and you saved your creature, and your opponent's strategy didn't work as well as he thought it would. Agony Warp, I'm running 3 of them. I considered running all 4 of them because you are going to need them and you're going to use them. I might end up putting it back in there. It's a very, very good removal card, especially because it also deals with regenerate. But if your opponent's creature a toughness 4 or above creature, you're going to have to use the Agony Warp in conjunction with or in some kind of combat situation where you split the diff or even out the difference or something like that. But usually you don't want your creatures to enter into any kind of combat interactivity. You just want them to get in there and control the situation. So I don't think it has some drawbacks, but it's the best, some of the best removal you're going to get in this deck, and it's instant speed, of course. So it's very good, but also a little bit situational. Usually in favor of situations where it's actually doing good. Walking Corpse is absolutely useless in this deck. It does nothing. It's not unblockable. It has no ability that in the vein of card draw or mill or discard. So and it doesn't do anything else aside from that. So out, out, out. You're going to start off with these creatures. You're going to take them out as soon as possible. Same goes for Baloney Vampire here. 3/2, a little bit better than Stupid Walking Corpse. Not a lot better. Yeah, no need for that. No need for that silliness. Crafty Path Mage is a bit too crafty for me. It's a 3-cost 1/1, and it can make power 2 or less creatures unblockable for 1 turn. I see the idea, the general idea, but you're going to run creatures that are unblockable to begin with. You're going to run bigger creatures which have certain types of activated or combat abilities that when they do damage, you're able to, for example, force your opponent to sacrifice a creature or something equally interesting. There's really no need to run the Crafty Path Mage because you're going to have other tools to get through to your opponent, and where you really need this creature, it can't deal with the creatures that you need it to target. So yeah, don't want any of them. New Rock Invisimancer is pretty decent, I would say, but I just don't have enough room for both of them. So I think I'm running one of them. It's a 3-cost. It's just like Phantom Warrior. It's 2/1. It's unblockable. But when it enters the battlefield, you're going to make another target creature unblockable, and that might be a difference maker. It's going to give you an unblockable. You can get in there for 2 every turn from next turn on. But this turn, when you drop it, you can make 1 creature that you really need to get through with to change the board state unblockable. That's very important. Phantom Warrior. Yeah, I'm not running it. There's just too many good cards in the deck, and if I start out with 2 swamps and an island, or an island and a swamp, and I don't draw that island right away, then Phantom Warrior is gonna be late. And yeah, I don't like it that much. I mean, I have to enchant it. It's not dual colored, which is a huge minus, because then you're not gonna you can put Helm of the what's it called? of the Ghast Lord, Helm of the Ghast Lord on this guy, and it's just gonna become +1/+1. It's gonna become a 3/3 and draw you a card. That might be useful for a couple of turns, but it's not gonna win you the game. So I don't think so. There are better combos. Scroll Thief is a 1/3 3 cost, and when it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's decent, but nothing special. Like, I mean, there's no room for it. Flight of Fancy is a 4 cost enchant creature spell, and when it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, and enchanted creature has flying. I mean, I really like the fact that it draws me cards. I really do. It's helped me out tremendously. But the flying part is usually not a big deal in a deck that has a lot of unblockable. It can be good. So I wouldn't fault anyone for running it. I might put 1 or 2 back in there if I can find anything to take out. The thing is that it's kind of a defensive, either a desperate early game strategy if you want to spend a turn using 4 mana to play this card to draw 2 cards. It's usually because you don't have too much else, or that you can afford, because you don't have anything else, to spend a turn drawing cards. Or it's late game. And late game, I think you should already have other options for card drawing. But it's decent. I could definitely see running 1, perhaps, maybe 2 if you're really insane. But yeah, Helm of the Ghast Lord. There's only one reason that I'm not running all of them, because I think there's 3 in the deck, and that reason, well, there's actually 2. The first reason is not enough room. Not enough room. It's really, really good. It's fantastic. It's one of the best aura spells, not only in this deck, but in the format, in Duels of the Planeswalkers 2013. It turns every card, every creature that's dual colored, blue-black, into a Dimir cut purse, which means that aside from getting +1/+1 for each of the 2 colors, it both draws you a card and makes your opponent discard a card when it deals combat damage. Really, really good in conjunction with the Ink Fathom, or sorry, Ink something. Wait, Ink Fathom Infiltrator? Yeah, that's the one. All right, we'll get back to that guy later. Really, really good. The second reason is that that there's actually not enough dual colored creatures in my build. If I ran more of the Flying Vampire Moroi, I would consider including the third Helm of the Ghast Lord. And here we have him, Moroi. I'm running 1, and that's only because it helps you out sometimes to have a flying 4/4, even though it also slowly drains your life. The only reason I can see for running more than 1, or running them at all, because it's not that good, and it's just a big dumb guy, is if you run all of the Helm of the Ghast Lord, because they're really good in conjunction with that. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the flavor text though. Touched by Moroi, Undercity slang meaning to grow old. I like that. Anyways, here's another card I considered running both of. I'm running 1, and it's really helped me out. It makes it so that it's an easy decision to chump block your creatures because you're getting it back. If you're going to have unblockable creatures, then you're just gonna put Necromantic Thirst on it. Put it on, for example, Invisible Stalker, and every turn you get to pick a creature card from your graveyard, return it to your hand. If it's a cheap creature, you're just gonna drop it, chump block your opponent's huge creature, unless it has whatever, like trample or something like that. But it's a great stall card. It's a great way of getting back some of your bombs and so on. Here's another guy that's actually pretty decent. Not gonna lie, he's actually pretty decent. The Shoreline Salvager. a Suraka. Suraka kind of looked like something from Call of Cthulhu, an H.P. Lovecraft demon here. But yeah, it's a 3/3 for 4, and if you control an island, you may draw a card whenever it does combat damage to a player. Again, pretty nice. It works with the theme. I could not fault anyone for running it, but it's just not the best card. It's pretty good. Here's an interesting card, but I think there's a better replacement for him. Um, if you had more ways of boosting his power, other than Helm of the Ghast Lord, I would definitely run him. But unfortunately, you really don't. It's a 4-cost 0/4. Nice stall card. What it does, though, is that you're able to pump it and diminish it, pump its power, diminish its toughness by 1, or +1, -1. For 1 black, and you can do this, well, basically you can kill it with it, but you can turn it into a 3/1 if you want, and then for 1 black mana you can tap it, or 1 black mana and tap it, destroy target creature with power less than unliving psychopath power. I considered running this for a while, because there's not enough kill spells in this format, and it's a very, very nice way of taking care of walls. Unfortunately, walls is not a big problem for this deck, as you have a lot of unblockables, and it's not a huge thing in this format, contrary to Return to Ravnica, which has a lot of Gatecrash as well, I guess, which seem to have a lot of defenders or walls. So yeah, and plus I've never actually, while I game tested it on lock cards, never actually had to use this ability. Never really found it useful. So it's out. Here's another card which I'm kind of kicking myself in the heel for taking out one of. Followed Footsteps. We all know this card is a great card. You get to run 2 if you want. It's really, really good in conjunction with a few things, but yeah, very, very good. Here's another interesting card if you're running a lot of weenies. If you're running more creatures than I am, I would definitely consider running him. When you're running as few creatures as I am, I would not consider running him. It's a 5-cost 5/5. Grimgrin Corpse Spawn enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. Sacrifice another creature, untap Grimgrin, and put a +1/+1 counter on it. See, we have a creature sacrifice mechanic going that can, which is It works at instant and ability speed, so, which means that you can basically untap it, or sacrifice a creature, untap it, swing in. And when your opponent attacks, you sacrifice another creature, untap this guy, and it becomes even huger. It's not that expensive, except for the fact that it doesn't untap, but it has some pretty nice abilities. And when you attack, destroy target creature defending player controls, then put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's not great for. Actually, I think I might end up putting it back in, just for the fact that you don't have to get in for the damage in order to destroy a creature. But not now. I mean, now I'm really tempted. But it's a great control creature. But you have to sacrifice a lot for it to work. So yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely playtest it at some point. Harvest of Souls is a guy that I took out in the very last second, and I already regret it. It's such a good card. It's a 6-cost with Death Touch, and whenever another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. I'm really considering putting it back in, just because it has Death Touch and a very nice secondary ability. If you put Followed Footsteps on it, you get to draw 1,000,000 cards. You get to draw your whole library. It's so good, very, very good. And you get like just a string of really, really cool Death Touch 5/5 creatures. Very good. And usually you don't have too many problems making it to land drop 6. That's not a promise or a guarantee for my behalf, but it's just an observation. All right, Hellcarver Demon, haven't played with him, don't like him. I like you kind of have to build your side up with this deck, and this guy is just too much of a volatile bomb. He's too insane in a way. I'm not gonna suggest that he's not good once you have him down, but I think it's a little situational, and I think I think if if your opponent if you're playing Obedient Dead, for example, or any other deck that has direct removal spells, you're just gonna let him swing in once, see what he draws, and then kill him or something like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Mephidros Vampire is a really insane and cool card, but you're not, like in my build at least, you're not going to aim for combat interaction. You're going to aim for getting in without your opponent having an option to block. Uh, Combat should be one-sided. It should be monological. It should not be a dialogue between you and your opponent when you're running Dimir. That's the whole thing about them being shadow mages and infiltrators and spies and ninja-like assassins and so on. Your opponent should not see them coming. Your opponent should not be able to block them. So this creature does not serve the purpose that I want my cards to serve, or yeah, basically. But it is a good card, no doubt about it. And I bet you could build this deck much more creature heavy and less control focused, with less focus on control, and then this guy is going to be huge. Not in a size matter, but in a, yeah, you know what I mean. Mind Leech Mass, already teased them a little bit. It's a fucking 8 cost. It's a little expensive, and I've only got to play him once or twice so far. Um, at that point, my opponent didn't have any cards in hand, so yeah, like, I mean, sure, you're going to have these matchups where he's going to be a huge deal. I guess in Two-Headed Giant, he's going to be great. But I don't know. Like, I really like his abilities. I like the fact he's a 6/6 trample, and when he does combat damage to a player, you may look at that player's hand. If you do, you may cast a non-land hand in it without paying that card's mana cost. Non-land hand. That's not just instant and sorcery. Non-land card. Sorry. It is also enchantment. It is artifact. It's a creature. Like, you can play whatever you want, and as long as you get in there, and you will get in there if it's a 6/6 trample card, especially if you're running anything that will give it fear or unblockable. So yeah, great card, but it's a little bit late game. It doesn't add much to the late game. It adds a lot to the mid game. So I don't know. Like, I'm not running it. Plus, I have enough expensive cards. I have 5 cost and 2 6 cost. Plus, I have 11 4 cost. So, don't need more expensive cards. All right, Terramorphic Expanse. Welcome, you sack of shit. 2 of them. I'm running 2 Extract. I might end up taking them out, but it's on the surface, it's interesting. It's either really powerful, take away that damn corrupt that killed me twice during the previous TTT tournament, or you might want to gain some information about what your opponent is running, what your opponent might have in hand. If you drop this on turn 1 and you go looking for that bomb and you don't see it in the deck, you know there's a very good chance he has it in hand. That is very good information to have. So I'm running 2 of them. Eventually, though, I might end up taking out 1, but 1 is very nice. See, Infiltrate, already talked about it. Agony Warp, run 3, already talked about it. Here's a really cool guy. His abilities are really cool. It's one of the better guild mages in my opinion. It's a 2 cost 2/2, but usually you're going to just run directly at your opponent and not use this guy for his abilities until, well, all right, I'll give you two scenarios. You're going to cast this guy as quick as possible, or the Ink Fathom Infiltrator or something on turn 2, and you're just going to swing in there just to do damage, and then you're going to cast other spells that will build up your board positioning, or cast something to... The fact that he's a dual-colored creature makes it so that the Helm of the Ghast Lord is a very viable option. Going to cast that on turn 4, make sure that he gets in there and both mill your opponent and draw you a card. Then at some point, if this guy is still on the table, if you have a turn where you do have that extra mana, you'll be able to control your opponent or draw yourself a card. You're gonna able to be forcing him to discard a card or draw yourself a card. But there's also the other situation where you know that your opponent is running a very control heavy deck himself, or a very aggro deck, and he just hasn't gotten off to a fast start yet. Sure, you're gonna drop this guy. Turn 4, you might have another guy that has forced him to discard one card. You might force him to discard another card with this guy, and just keep your get your discard game going early, even though you have to sacrifice that turn where you where you then not where you're not able to then cast other spells that might be supporting this strategy. But this might be the guy that you use to force your opponent to make some early choices, force your opponent to say, do I want to keep this bomb? He's a little expensive, or do I want to start building board position soon? I need something against this guy. So you can kind of force your opponent's hand a little bit with this guy. Very, very good card. Glimpse the Unthinkable seems a little bit out of place in this deck, because even though Dimir works well with the mill mechanic, or the mill idea, or idea of the mill, and this is certainly a very, very good card. It mills your opponent for 10. Really, really good. It's a great way of activating some other things. For example, you do have a creature that mills your opponent. For example, this is a way of taking the next turn 10 turns possibilities out of his hand, and it's also a way of priming your memory plunder, making sure there's something in his graveyard that you might want to cast. So really, really good. There's actually another creature which works well with Glimpse the Unthinkable, but we'll take a look at him later. Ink Fathom Infiltrator, it can't block, and it's unblockable, but it's really, really good. Why is it really good? It's not only because it's unblockable, it's because it's 2 cost split mana. So if you get land screwed one way or the other, you're still able to cast this guy. It's a 2/1, so it's not just a 1/1, which is really significant, because just from the 3rd turn on, if you drop this on the 2nd turn, turn 3, you're putting him on a 10-turn clock. Secondly, the fact that it's dual-colored is really, really good. Why is it really, really good? Because in conjunction with Helm of the Ghast Lord, this guy is so viable as an recipient of that aura, which makes it able to swing in for 4 a turn, and force your opponent to discard a card, make you draw a card, or give you, basically, it's really, really good. If there was more of them, I would definitely run more of them. I don't really care that it can't block. Of course, it can dick you over at times, but I don't care too much. The fact that it's so cheap, the fact that it's unblockable, really, really strong. Invisible Stalker, there's only one thing bad about this guy. It's not that it's a 1/1. It's certainly not his casting cost. It is in no way the fact that he's hexproof, and it is absolutely not that he's unblockable. It is that he's only monocolored, because that makes it so that Helm of the Gas Lord is only gonna. Well, it doesn't really matter that it turns him into a 2/2 instead of a 3/3. But what matters is that you can't use him as a discard guy, at least not with Helm of the Gas Lord. But you can use him to draw you lands, and you can also put what the hell is the name of that? Here we go, Necromantic Thirst on him, and make sure that you bounce your creatures back from the graveyard. Another good thing is you can use him as a blocker. I know he's not intended to be a blocker, but if you have other unblockable creatures going, if you have other combos going that is forcing your opponent to discard and drawing you cards and so on, but your opponent is dropping those creatures that would get in for a lot of damage while you still have a few turns left until you can kill off your opponent, put Necromantic Thirst on Invisible or on one of the other creatures, block with Invisible Stalker, and every turn you only have to spend 2 mana. Once you're like, you're just swinging in there, getting this guy back, casting him for 2. Next turn, or your opponent's turn, he swings in, you block with Invisible Stalker, you do the same again. So yeah, he's cheap, he's good in many, many ways. Mask of the Riddles, or Mask of Riddles, is a 2-cost blue-black mana artifact equipment. It gives equipped creature fear, which is good against non-black decks, which we have quite a few of now. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So this is an artifact that you really want down early, because it gets your card drawing card drawing mechanisms going really early. And this deck, the reason why it draws pretty consistently is that you usually you have many ways of drawing cards. So, the reason that it draws lands pretty consistently is that even if you wouldn't normally, cards like this, cards like Dimir Cutpurse, other cards will make sure that you draw extra cards every turn, and it makes sure that you get to the land drops that you need to get to, at least if everything is going in the right direction for you. Dimir Cutpurse is such a good card. The only thing that's bad about him is that he's not unblockable, but you can't really fault him for that. He's a 3-cost 2/2, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, it forces that player to discard a card, and you draw a card. So good. So fucking good. Other guilds demand tolls from those who travel their territories, but not House Dimir. It takes its share secretly, one coin purse at a time. Yep. It might cut coin purses, but it certainly also delves in secrets. Is that it is definitely a card that that makes it very hard for your opponent to remain focused. Very good, especially in conjunction with, come on, Mask of Riddles. So if you start out with this guy, you're gonna drop on turn 3. Perhaps you already laid Mask of Riddles, and perhaps if you have the 4 mana, you're just going to drop Mask of Riddles on turn 4, equip it to Dimir Cutpurse, and he's going to swing in there, draw you 2 cards, and force your opponent to discard a card. Very, very good combo. Nurok Invisibancer, already talked about him, or her, with all those baboom shapes and curves and so on. Anyways, run one of them, mainly for the reason that she's able to make a creature unblockable for a turn. That's pretty good. It can be very useful. Aside from that, it's just extra damage, and it's monocolored. Royal Assassin, I would run him in a white deck. I would run him in a green deck. I would want no, it's just such a good card. Very, very good. It is very controlly. It keeps your opponent at bay. It keeps his creatures at bay, and it's a great way of making sure that that your opponent doesn't get in. So, very important card for this deck. Soul Manipulation is the single counterspell that you get to run. It counters target creature spell and or return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. It's really good, no doubt about it. It's really good, but I just wish they had included a few more of the blue-black counter spells, because there are actually a few. Yeah, so that's a bit of a shame. Abyssal Spectre, 4 cost, flying 2/3, and whenever it deals damage to a player, that player discards a card. The thing about it is, it's a little expensive because Hypnotic Spectre is a 3 cost, but Hypnotic Spectre is also a 2/2. So the good thing about the Abyssal Spectre is that it's a 2/3, which means that it doesn't trade with other 2/2s. The 3 in the rump is a nice blocking option at the first turn you lay it, perhaps also several other turns. And the fact that it has the secondary ability, the typical Spectre ability, where it forces a player to discard a card, is also very nice and controlling. Like that very much. Here's a card that I wasn't sure about if I was going to run or not, but I think it ends up becoming necessary in this deck because you need to control your opponent's creature situation. It's Ashling, the Extinguisher. It's a 4 cost legendary creature, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, choose target creature that player controls. He or she sacrifices that creature. It's not very good against Aura Servants, I'll tell you that much, but it's good against a lot of other decks. The only problem is having her get in for damage, but if you have Mask of Riddles, let's find it, then it shouldn't be a problem against most decks. Here's a, I'll say, a sometimes really, really great removal spell, and sometimes really annoying removal spell, because it requires for your opponent to have 2 creatures. So, for 4, you get to choose target creature, 2 target creatures controlled by the same player. Their controller chooses and sacrifices one of them, and return the other one to its owner's hand. If we're lucky, your opponent is going to click really quickly and make some mistakes there. Even if he doesn't, it's really strong, especially in conjunction with the Ghast Lord of Fugu, which I'll show it to you. But once you've forced your opponent's hand down to 0, then any card that will force your opponent to discard or any creature that will force your opponent to discard after you play the spell is a kill spell or has a kill ability. So that's really nice. You kill one creature of your opponent's choice, bounce the other one, swing in, force your opponent to discard, and the other creature is gone. That's the good thing about it. And I run both of them because you need your removal. Sadly, not enough room for Agony Warp, or the 4th Agony Warp. Glenelendra Leash is probably the most useless of all the leashes, or the one with the most unspectacular primary ability, or secondary, or whatever. But it will buff your side, and as long as you run enough dual color creatures, it's going to make your side more impressive real quick. So that's the reason. That's a good reason to run it. The fact that it costs 4, which other leashes do as well, but there's also some leashes that cost 5. So you get to drop this on turn 4 if it's a viable option for you, and you get in there with your Ink Fathom Infiltrators, which suddenly have become 4/3s, and with Helm of the Ghast Lord, suddenly they're 6/5s, and so on and so forth. Here we have it, Helm of the Ghast Lord. Already talked about it, I run 2 of them. Here's a really, really good card, Memory Plunder, 4 cost, instant. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. You're definitely going to have matchups. Again, Aura Servants is a bitch that doesn't offer you much to steal, but you're also going to have those Dream Puppets, those Mind Storms, those Obedient Dead, those damage. What else? Crosswinds. Hell, like you're going to have so many different matchups where you're going to surprise your opponent by being able to cast an instant or a sorcery spell from their graveyard at instant speed. That is very powerful. All right, Moroi. There's one of them one of him in there, because if I have too many of them, I'm just gonna grow old. Literally. Necromantic Thirst. Really want to run the second one, but so far only one. Sangromancer is such a good card, really, really good, and it's so great for this deck. It's a little slow, not because it's too expensive. It's not that expensive. It's a 4 cost, and it has the most amazing abilities, but it's a little slow because you need to get it down, and from there on you can start using its abilities passively against your opponent. 4 cost 3/3 flying, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3 life. So this might even be your savior in a situation where you're up against a very fast deck and you're trying to stabilize. This creature will probably help you out in stabilizing. Dire Undercurrents is such a good card, but it's also a little slow, but I refuse not to run it. It's a little slow because it doesn't do anything on you for you on the first turn unless you have a lot of lands down and spells in hand. Whenever a blue creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target player draw a card. Whenever a black creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target player discard a card. So it's basically Hymn of Wolf and Owl, or Fable of Wolf and Owl for Dimir. Has the separate abilities and so on and so forth. It's just a good card, really, really good, very good control card, and works well with if you run with a bunch of dual-colored creatures as well. Followed Footsteps, already talked about it, no need to talk about it, you already know it. Still a little bit sad-faced about only running one, but that might change. Here is the All-Star, and I'm a little sad that you only get to run one, but he is so good, so good. Ghast Lord of Fugu is a 5-cost 4/4 unblockable. Whenever Ghast Lord of Fugu deals combat damage to a player, that player reveals his or her hand. You choose a card from it, and that player exiles that card. So you get to see his hand. You get to choose a card, and you get to exile that card. So strong. Really, really strong. Very, very nice way of gaining information and controlling. Here's another really good card. I believe it's the final card you unlock. Whenever Nemesis of Reason attacks, defending player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Oh, so strong. You just swing, even if you only get to swing in there once. If he has something huge that'll kill it, you get to fucking mill him for 10. You get to mill him for 10. It's only a 5 cost. It's a 3/7. It's a great blocker as well. It's just such a good card. You'd be an idiot for not running it. Even just swinging in, even if you don't do combat damage to your opponent, you get to mill him for 10. Such a great card, and the fact that he has 7 in the rump means that it doesn't even matter if he does, if Nemesis of Reason get to do damage to your opponent. You can basically mill your opponent. Well, by the time you play this card, your opponent is down to less than 50 cards in his library already. So you can mill him in 5 turns. Just completely mill him in 5 turns if you drop this creature and he can't remove it. Such a good card. Here's another amazing card. Like all these fucking great 5 costs. It's impossible. Like, okay, maybe sometime when you've played enough with this deck and you think, okay, all right, now I'm not that impressed with it. They're great cards, but I'm not impressed anymore. I'm just now I need to figure out what to take out, what to leave in, and so on. Then maybe you can say, all right, Followed Footsteps, it's not for me, blah blah blah, or the Sangromancer, or blah blah blah, whatever. It's not for me, and not in this build at least. But right now, I love Painful Quandary. played with it in Cockatrice is just such an amazing card. 5 cost enchantment. When opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless he or she discards a card. So, first of all, whenever he plays a spell, he has to make a very, very difficult decision. 5 life is a lot. Discarding a card might not seem like a lot to begin with, but you're quickly exhausting your options because think about it. How many spells do you play during a game? Like you play somewhere between 10 or 30 depending on the match. That's a lot of spells. So if you get this down on turn 5 or even late game where you already plucked away at your opponent's life, this is gonna hurt him a lot. So yeah, just such a good card. Here's a card that is not amazing, just for the fact that you can't target your opponent's face, but it is a decent removal spell. I wish it said destroy, and you gain life equal to that creature's power or something like that. But the fact that it also draws you a card is pretty good. I like the flavor text as well. My favorite meal is angel's flesh, slain in agony and iced with black vinegar, a sala of House Dimir. That's pretty diabolical, as Chilled Chaos would have said it. Yeah, it is a necessary removal spell because your agony warps alone are not going to do it. The fact that it gains your life is going to be very, very important to you, and the fact that you are able to draw a card from it means that you're not just sitting here holding this, exhausting your options, killing off their very, very dangerous attackers. You're also giving yourself new options when you play it. So I'm running both of them just because it's necessary. And you don't have any card that reads destroy target creature or instant spells at least. So that's necessary. Here's one of the 2 final cards that I run, and this is such a bomb. Your opponent is not gonna expect it, at least until people start getting like this is the corrupt of this deck. Such a good card. You're not gonna drop this and swing in with it unless you know that you have the mana to regenerate. You're gonna drop this on turn 7, or you're gonna drop this on turn 6 if your opponent is down to 6 or less life. This is your kill spell. Laquatus Champion, or Laquatus' Champion. It's a 6-cost creature, Nightmare Horror, 6/3. When Laquatus Champion or Laquatus' Champion enters the battlefield, target player loses 6 life. When Laquatus' Champion leaves the battlefield, that player gains 6 life. So never give him the option. And for 1 black mana, you can regenerate him. So he's difficult to get rid of. But yeah, drop this as a kill spell, and your opponent is just gonna bite his. Well, if you're playing this on the console, he's just gonna bite his controller in half. If you're playing this on PC or Steam, like he's just gonna throw his mouth through the window and rip his keyboard in half. It's such a good card. Here's another really, really good card. Rexiel the Risen Deep. 6-cost, 5/8. It's a little expensive, but not when you consider what it can do. It has Island Walk, it has Swamp Walk, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into to a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Wow. So, yeah, it means that you exhaust your options from his or her graveyard, but still, you exhaust their options as well. What's even better is that against, since it has Island Walk and Swamp Walk, this is really, really powerful against Obedient Dead, Crosswinds, Dream Puppets. Obedient Dead, of course, has removal spells. Still, if you even get to swing in for 1 time, like if you get to swing in 1 time, you can cast you can cast a fucking corrupt. You can cast a you can cast whatever. You can cast murder. You can, yeah. It's just such a good card. So yeah, this is my build so far. I'm running 61 cards just because it's difficult to take something out. I even considered running 63 cards, just putting in an extra Terramorphic Expanse, getting that extra mana. But no, I don't. I don't know. I think that might screw with the mana curve a little too much. I have been mana flooded with this deck simply for the reason that you get to draw a lot of lands, but it is very, very important that you mulligan until you get a decent starting hand, something that will draw you cards, something that will gain you a bit of board position, something with removal, something with lands. So yeah, this is the deck. Love it already. It was not as difficult or not as laborious to unlock everything as I thought it would have been, but there were definitely some matchups which this deck was simply unsuited for. One of them was against Obedient Dead. Another one is bum 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 bum. Well, Goblins is naturally a very difficult deck, especially when you're unlocking cards and if you don't trim down in between matches. But still, yeah, it's a great deck. It's even able to take care of Peacekeepers because it runs around Peacekeepers creatures. But that being said, if Peacekeepers is able to get off off to a fast start, you're gonna have a hard time dealing with that deck as well. So, yeah, nothing surprising there, but still really really good deck, especially when you unlock everything. Not sure this will be my final build, probably not, but this is my temporary build, and I'm going to try to get in there and get some matches going online. So hopefully you'll tune in for them, and I'll see you in the next videos. Later!